Spirit of the East, Spirit of air, of morning and springtime, be with us as the sun rises in times of beginning, times of planting. Inspire us with the fresh breath of courage as we go forth into new adventures. Spirit of the South, Spirit of fire, of noontime and summer, be with us through the heat of the day and help us to be ever growing. Warm us with strength and energy for the work that awaits us. Spirit of the West, Spirit of water, of evening and autumn, be with us as the sun sets and help us to enjoy a rich harvest. Flow through us with a cooling, healing quietness and bring us peace. Spirit of the North, Spirit of earth, of nighttime and winter, be with us in the darkness, in the time of gestation. Ground us in the wisdom of the changing seasons as we celebrate the spiraling journey of our lives. That pagan calling and these words for our chalice lighting are from our Unitarian Universalist hymnal. And excuse me, we don't have enough fuel left over. Flame of fire, spark of the universe that warmed our ancestral hearts, agent of life and death, symbol of truth and freedom. We strive to understand ourselves and our earthly home. I welcome you with a pagan saying, "Merry do we meet and merry part. Peace in our souls, joy in our hearts, merry do we meet." We're here today for the memorial of Bobi Kochendoerfer, a member of our congregation who came to the Toledo Unitarians because we welcomed her pagan spirituality. And she formed close friendships with people in this church. Bobi was a lifelong pagan, born to parents who were pagan. Today we're here to honor Bobi for her life, her friendship, her being such a part of this community. We have people who will speak and share some stories, and we have some music as well. Many of us heard different stories about and from Bobi, and I don't think any of us knows all the details of the life she had. She came to us with a few decades behind her, and in some ways I think she was trying to build a better and more authentic life when she became a Toledo Unitarian. She told me that the church for her was good family. We'll hear some things about her and maybe have tales told. And considering that in her final years she was among people who had love and concern for her, Bobi lived well. Bobi Kochendoerfer was born May 10th, 1958, according to a funeral home obituary, and she died December 24th, 2023. That meant she lived to age 65. By the time she came into the circle of the Toledo Unitarians, through an effort in the late 20-teens to form a pagan group in our congregation, and that group had its pains in trying to determine what it was and would be, and it hasn't continued to today. I think Bobi had moved into a group home, or if not already, would do so at about that time. Her health was fragile. She had trouble breathing and couldn't be active for long periods, but she could form friendships. She could engage in crafts such as jewelry making, which she loved to do. And after the service, we will have some beaded bracelets she made on a table in the lobby, and you're free to take one in her memory. And she would talk about her ways of pagan life and joy, such as feeling a closeness to the raven as her favorite bird, or liking butterflies, and even playing at fairy-related activities. In her final days, she was a resident at Aiden Healthcare, and Marcia Gamble reported that Bobi was a favorite at Aiden, always with a smile, greeting staff as they went by her door, asking how they were doing, how their families were, if they had made time to eat. And Marcia told me that the staff told this to her. It was hard for me not to find Bobi trying to be and spread joy. Karen Christie said, "One of my memories of Bobi was her generosity. I was having lunch with her and others in a restaurant, and there was a little boy eating lunch with his mom at the table next to us. Bobi reached over and gave him one of her handmade bead bracelets. You could see through the look of joy on his face that Bobi had made his day with that gift." She believed in reincarnation, saying, you go in this world, and you come back as someone else. I found a pagan saying that nature is a wheel, life has no end. When the cycle is complete, we begin again. Bobi told me that her close friend Joanne Harto, whom you'll hear from in this service, told Bobi that, "I'm going to come back a cat." I know that Joanne likes cats very much. I take it Bobi did too. Bobi had said to me, "I'm not afraid of going." Lynn Lyle had told her, "Dream, don't be afraid." And she held on to those words. When Jewel and I saw Bobi sometime during the week of her death, she looked worn, we might say, but happy, radiant in a way. While for a very long time she wasn't healthy and knew any day could be her last, she seemed to deal well with ongoing infirmity. Bobi's spiritual seeking, like many Unitarian Universalists, was not confined to one way, so her paganism was open to the beauty of all creation, including from Christianity, Buddhism, and other faith traditions. When I spoke with her about her memorial service, she told me that she liked Wings of an Angel that a country lady sings. Well, I found a few versions, but this one seems to be what she was thinking of, written by Holly Dunn and Don Schlitz, and sung on Holly Dunn's first album in 1988. I won't try to sing it, but I will share the words as a reading today. Sometimes the load gets heavy and the road is too rough to ride. The cold wind moans, rattles my bones, and there's not a shelter in sight. Just as my hands start to tremble and I feel like I'm lost on my own, I remember the words as a child I once heard, "You never travel alone." On the wings of an angel, we lightly touch down, here for a moment, then heavenly bound, where the sweet Father welcomes us home, and the wings of an angel become our own. This world's not my home forever. It's only a stop on the way. Before very long, you'll hear the sweet song, "An angel to take me away." Oh, but I won't be sad to leave here, though I'm leaving my family and friends. We might be apart, but I know in my heart we'll soon be together again. On the wings of an angel, we lightly touch down, here for a moment, then heavenly bound, where the sweet Father welcomes us home, and the wings of an angel become our own. And the wings of an angel become our own. And now I invite Phil Park Thomas to play his Native American flute, Winterhawk. He told me that each flute is given a name by its maker. This is Over the Waters. Come here. And now is the time for some of you to speak and share. I will ask Joanne Harto first.
Yes. I need all the help and support I can get today. And I might need water very soon. Well, anyway, in May of 2018, Reverend Tim asked if there was anybody who could pick up someone named Bobby and bring her to a church service. She needed a ride. And she happened to live in the Secor Gardens area, which is right exactly on my way to church. So there's no way, I mean, like, you don't just drive by somebody, so there it was. So I started picking her up. And I think I'll have to admit, my first impression when she came out, I thought, wow, she's different. She's not like me, like boring or something. I mean, Bobby comes out, I don't remember what she was wearing, but how Bobby comes with her beads and her feathers and her tattoos and stuff, and I'm going like, and here I am, a mild-mannered librarian, so what can I say? And I started picking her up, and I thought it would just last, a couple weeks, and then, whatever. Kept picking her up, and it kept going. So anyway, so I entered Bobby's world, which was, learning about how she loved animals, being a pagan, she loved animals. So I was talking about the crows and the ravens, again, the ravens that woke her up at 4:30 in the morning, pecking at her windows for her to feed them. And then there's the deer that would come across Richards Road, and she would feed them in the backyard, and then she'd stop traffic on Richards Road to make sure the deers got back across the road. And I mean, that would be Bobby. And then she talked about working at the zoo. And the thing is, Bobby had a lot of stories, lots of stories. And she's not like Reverend Tim. He has everything sourced and everything, and footnoted and verified and everything. Bobby's stories were not verifiable, none of them. And so anyway, if this is what I've learned about Bobby since that time. Well, anyway, she said she worked at the zoo, and she obviously loved animals, but she was always talking about she helped Renee give birth to her first calf. And we talked about when the when the panda bears came in 1988, she said she was in there frolicking with them and stuff like that. And then she started talking about how she was swimming with the polar bears. And someone in this audience questioned her about that, and she did not like that. Did she, Becky? She did not like that at all. If you questioned her, okay, you swim with the polar bears, fine, yeah. I don't think so, but she had a lot of stories, and she seemed to know a lot about animals and how to take care of them and how to treat them, and so on. So I know she worked for a veterinarian for a long time. I'm not positive she worked at the zoo, but she has all the stories about Renee, the elephant, loving her, and so anyway, and swimming with the polar bears. Okay. So, but you don't question Bobby with her stories. So it's best to listen to them and take them with a grain of salt. And of course, she loved her plants, growing plants, hugging trees. We have that picture. And she loved scary stuff, Halloween stuff. Anything scary, and she loved Halloween, and she loved the paranormal. She would have loved to have spent the night at the Oliver house, waiting and listening for the ghosts to appear. And she also was very psychic. She could tell when things were happening. She once told me that, I said, well, how can you tell? And she said she would get a really bad headache, and then it would sort of just break, and she would call the police department, and they'd say, and she'd say there's been an accident close by, and they'd say, yes, there was. The call is starting to come in, but it's like she knew it before. But see, again, these are Bobi's stories. I'm just repeating what she told me. But, and she had her Indian spirit guides so that she believed in that. Very psychic. And she also knew about auto mechanics. So, those were some of the things, totally different world from what so I learned a lot about that. But then there was also the sad part. She talked about, as a child, being neglected, abandoned, and probably pushed around in different foster homes and stuff. It sounds like she didn't have a very happy childhood. She wasn't good at school because she was dyslexic, and with a name like Kochendoerfer, can you imagine trying to do that? So she was dyslexic, and then as she grew up, then she was in 2 marriages which weren't very successful. Some abuse, and on the second one, a lot of abuse. And she also told me that she had had 6 children that predeceased her. Now, I don't know any of these stories are absolutely true, but anyway, something happened with that second marriage. I think the guy beat her up, and so then she ended up as a ward of the state, living in a group home, and then plus the fact that she had her lungs were badly damaged from chain smoking in her earlier years. And I don't see how, I'm amazed that she made it through COVID. Anyways, may I have a drink of water, please, Tom? Please. Thank you. Probably drop it, yeah. Thank you. So she didn't have a very happy life, but anyway. So Bobi also entered my world. I continued picking up for church. As I said to myself, what is the deal here? And she needed a ride and I needed a companion. So it worked out for a long time, 6 years. And I wanted you to know, just as the minister said, she loved this church. This was her church family, and she kept me on the straight and narrow. If I ever wanted to call off and say, "Well, it's icy, I don't want to go out," that would be the end of that conversation for that day. The telephone conversation, to all of a sudden silence, because she liked if she could get away from the group home for a day, come here, be around people who liked her. We would go out to lunch, then maybe we would go home and watch shows with my friend Martha. That would be her day. But if I said no, total silence, and I thought, she's going to kill me. Next day she'd be fine. But I just wanted you to know that she did love being in this church. She loved this church family, and you all gave her that. And it's a wonderful thing to have given her. Okay. And so, as I said, Bobi entered my world. So, along with my friend Martha here, Becky, Jenny, and Isaac, my friends of the songs, and my adopted daughter Gina and her kids, I and they, with the help of all of them, we started including her in lunches, holiday gatherings, trips to the art museum. She lived in Toledo for 6 years, had never been to the art museum. We started taking her to concerts, such as the Masterworks Chorale concert, and the Greater Toledo International Youth Orchestra. She loved that. And then in the summertime, of course, Martha and Bobi and I, usually along help with the help of my adopted grandson, Ray, we would have some adventures. The gallivanting grannies got out, and we would, very exciting. We'd go down to the middle grounds, to the Oliver House, which she loved, Tony Pacco's, Weber's Taverns, and of course the the thing she loved the most, looked forward to taking the Jet Express to Put-in-Bay. And we did all those things, and, again, she was living in a group home with people that were very hard to be with, and so that's when the church gave her a family. We gave her a family. We gave her experiences that she had never had before. So I'm glad we could do that. Okay, and so now this is my confession time. I would often feel like I was driving Miss Bobby, because I would, as I said, I'd bring her to some place, and she'd walk in, and before I even get out of the car, she's grabbing somebody who's another person coming in. She's grabbing them and saying, "Oh, hi, here, I have this bracelet for you." And then they'd walk in, and I'm trailing along behind, like, maybe I should just wait in the car, because there's Bobby, and then coming in here, and maybe we'd have a musical performance or something, and she'd be up here. I'd be over there getting my walker out and stuff, and I'd look around, and she'd be up here, and she'd be festooning the musicians with bracelets and necklaces, like she was the mayor of the city of Toledo, giving them the key to the city or something. And well, anyway, my confession is that I often felt like very envious of her to have that, but that's what she had. That very instant connection with people, just instantaneous connection. And I saw that time and time again with people. We'd go to the Sunrise Skillet after church, and she'd be walking in there, "Oh, Bobby's here." And the waitresses loved her because she, instead of like being demanding of them, she appreciated them. She asked them, "Oh, how are you? How are you doing? How are your children?" She always was like that, cheerful, and walked right in and just had that instantaneous connection with people. And they all loved her. And I saw that time and time again, just like Jim was mentioning the bracelet thing. She was always, would be sitting there eating, and all of a sudden she's making googly eyes at some child across the way. Or I'd look up and she'd be digging in her purse, and she'd jump up and take a bracelet or a necklace over to a kid over here. And it was like, there's Bobby, and here's someone. I mean, like I have, I don't have everything, but I've always had a comfortable life. Nobody's ever abused me. I've always had food and clothing and stuff. And here she had nothing, and she's out, giving of herself what she had, and she really, and I saw that time and time again, that instantaneous connection with people. She'd be sitting down with somebody, just chatting them up. And anyway, I as I said, I was envious of that, and I thought, Joanne, what is that about? The fact that she had that, and it's true. And she said to me, she said, "I like to talk to people and make them smile." And so that's our lesson from Bobby, to reach out to other people and be in touch with them and take care of them. I have something I would like to read. This is by Eileen Carpelis, who was a Unitarian minister. She's passed away, but anyway, I like this reading. Okay. And I need a glass, I need a drink. I need a drink for sure. Thank you. Out of our separate lives we come to walk this path together for an hour or a day, for a week or a month or a series of months and years. For this space of time we travel together, making much or little or nothing at all of the fact that another walks beside us. We can keep our eyes cast down, protecting ourselves from the pain we risk whenever we allow another human being to touch us, living safe little lives inside our sterile wrappings. Or we can reach out, risking a little or a lot or every coin we have, because we believe that loving and being loved is the only game in town. The choice is ours. Those who risk much lose much, but they are also the only ones who ever win. And I really like it. And I think that you'll agree with me that Bobi went out of this life a winner. So be it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
Do you want to stay here, or do you want to sit someplace else?
I'm here.
Okay. Next, I call on Julia McGee.
I really am here today to thank Bobi for being who she was. I did not know her that well, and I did not know her stories, and I did not know that a lot of them we're not sure about. One of the things I did want to mention is that when I first met Bobi, I thought she was developmentally delayed. Honestly. And I think her persona, her aura, her energy that was there could be off-putting. And I think probably there are a few people from this church who probably stayed away from her because of that and what they missed. I did not know her that well. I did see her a couple of times over at Aden because I've got a dear friend over there from many years ago. As Bobi and I were talking yesterday, I think she was a mystery. She's that kind of personality whose energy and persona was so overwhelming that she couldn't put her in a box. You couldn't really define her. I suspect that she was a survivor of very intense family dysfunction, to put it mildly. Who knows what it was, because most of us in this room probably have a little bit of that ourselves. So we know what it's like to be hurt and unappreciated. But Bobi, she was different. And I wanted to say, I came today basically to say, Bobi, thank you. I've got my bracelet. And I was out there in the lobby one Sunday morning, and she came in and she brought me this bracelet. And it has my name on it, and it has my husband's name on it, Walter, the guy back there in the back working the AV. He had recently joined church after many years of not being involved. And here she walked in that door with this bracelet. And I want to say to her, because I'm guessing that her energy, Joanne, is still with us. I really think it is before she becomes something else, but who knows? Thank you, Bobi. Thank you. And she was a very lucky woman to have Joanne in her life. Thank you. And now we have somebody else who's going to share.
Lauren Getz.
I just wanted to share a little poem that I found because it reminded me of Bobi as I was going through some poems about grieving. I actually met Bobi through our Cups chapter when we did have a pagan group together. And it was around the time I had just had my daughter, and Bobi was always very, like, I'm a kind of a quiet and shy person by nature, but she always kind of like drew me in, and I always appreciated that. And not only was she always very like warm and kind to me and my husband, but she was also very like loving with my daughter. She's always like, "Can I hold her?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I think I could just tell she got like the biggest kick out of that when she held Suzette. I just loved that. And she always, like, Suzette has like a whole jewelry box full of like things that she made for her from the time she was very little. I mean, even when Suzette was like a year old, she's like running around with like these big like feather things like on her belly, like, and so whenever I think of Bobi, I always think of like the fun times that we had when we had the pagan group at the time, and she was always one of the more like positive people in the group, and so that's kind of how we connected. But I wanted to share this with you because this resonated with me when I was thinking about her passing. It's called "Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep," and it's by Mary Elizabeth Fry. "Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there, I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sun on the ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds circled in flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there, I did not die."
Now I ask Tishy Bozeman to come. Tishy has chosen to sing "Amazing Grace."
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already heard 'tis grace had brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. The Lord has promised good to me. His word, my heart secure. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. When we've been there 10
Thank you, Tishy. There's a seasonal relation to the timing of Bobi's death and this service, which I think Bobi would appreciate. She died December 24th, near the date of Yule, the winter solstice, and she's being formally remembered today, March 17th, near Ostra, the spring equinox. Today is also known as St. Patrick's Day, celebrating an Irish Catholic who is said to have driven the snakes out of Ireland. Bobi, I'm pretty sure, would have liked the festivities of green and shamrocks and leprechauns, but she would have preferred the ties to Celtic paganism rather than Patrick, of whom it's said the snake's story isn't the reptiles, but is a metaphor for the pagans whom he opposed. Bobi might not have chosen an in-your-face to Patrick for the date of this memorial service, but this is the Sunday closest to the first day of spring, and that's how we came to have the service today. For Bobi's Yule to Ostra between time of death to memorial, I'll share entries on those holidays from the book Seasonal Dance, How to Celebrate the Pagan Year by Janice Brock and Veronica McLair. Think of Bobi and how these descriptions might apply. For Yule, the wheel that holds the seasons of the year has turned to the dark time, and the weight of winter lies heavy on the land. The dark mother, the wise one, the crone, pulls her cloak about her as she casts the bones of fate to see who will survive the lean and hungry time. The dark lord, the gatekeeper, the hunter, hones his steel and calls the hunting cry as he rides the land, bidding those who will not see the spring to come and ride the hunt with him. The land lies asleep under its blanket of ice and snow. Fox and badger prowl the ragged edges of the forest. The stag shakes the frozen breath from his lips and starts at the call for the wolf. All await the coming of the returning light. All await the birth of the sun. For now it is that the great mother does give birth to the Sun King, and he in his light and splendor will turn the great wheel and start the lengthening of the days that will return the spring and the warmth. The hunter will change his crown of holly to one of oak, and the mother will shed her dark robes for a green one of quickening life. For Ostra, the equinox is a time of great joy. The young sun comes of age, the frozen waters break free and begin to flow, the danger of winter is finally past, the hard earth is soft again and ready to receive the seed. The maiden has returned, trailing flowers in her steps. The reborn earth is ready, prepared for the cycle of life to begin. But balance in all things is needed. The soil needs the rain, the field the plow, the ewe the ram. So the goddess waits for her shining sun, the dying and rising one. But the sun grows stronger every hour. The winter quickly fades away. Soon the lady's wait is ended. The flowers burst into joyful bloom. The gentle spring rains come. The goddess embraces her divine consort, and we welcome the God to life. Now is the time for sowing and planting. Look within your heart and see the empty spaces waiting to be filled. Take seeds touched by the power of the rising God and plant them in your heart. You need not want for anything. Now I ask Phil Park Thomas to play one more song, Journey of Memories, on his flute, Night Eagle. Bobi told me that she liked the Buddha prayer, and I think she meant a metta prayer, which she learned from Lynn Lyle here. Lynn was a follower of the teacher Thich Nhat Hanh. Karen Christie showed me a handwritten copy by Lynn of the metta prayer. It's also known as the prayer of loving kindness. Metta is a way of having compassion for and sending it to all beings. Here it is. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be safe. May all beings awaken to the light of their true nature. May all beings be free. A more extended metta prayer holds to the same intention. May I be well. May we be well. May all beings be well. May I be happy. May we be happy. May all beings be happy. May I be peaceful. May we be peaceful. May all beings be peaceful. May I be safe. May we be safe. May all beings be safe. May I awaken to the light of my true nature. May we awaken to the light of our true nature. May all beings awaken to the light of their true nature. May I be free. May we be free. May all beings be free. May all beings be well, be happy, be peaceful, be safe, awaken to the light of their true nature, and be free. May Bobi be at peace. We plan to bury Bobi's ashes in Woodlawn Cemetery in a plot donated by Joanne Harto. We don't know when that will happen, as there are still some details to resolve. But Bobi had expressed a wish to be buried, so we want to honor that. As we near the end of this memorial for Bobi, I share another pagan saying: Merry do we meet, and merry part. peace in our souls, joy in our hearts. Merry do we part to meet again. As we extinguish the flame, one more pagan saying. The earth, the water, the fire, the air, return, 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 return. Everything passes, all fades away. With Jeffrey's final selection, the service will end. Please take a bracelet as you leave. And if you'd like to give a memorial donation to help with the expenses related to Bobi's death and burial, that would be appreciated. We'll have envelopes out front as well. Thank you for being here in tribute to and in memory of Bobi Kochendoerfer. Blessed be.